Rain hammered against the windows of Forest Lawn Memorial Park as security guard Marcus Webb made his midnight rounds. For 12 years, he had walked these paths, protecting the final resting places of Hollywood's greatest stars. Tonight felt different. A strange vibration hummed beneath his feet near the mausoleum where Michael Jackson lay entombed. Marcus stopped, pressing his palm against the cold marble floor. The trembling grew stronger, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat rising from deep underground. His radio crackled with static, then died completely. Every light in the corridor flickered and went dark, leaving him in absolute blackness. Marcus fumbled for his flashlight, hands shaking as the beam cut through the darkness. What he saw made his blood run cold. A hairline crack had appeared in the floor, spreading like a spider's web across the polished stone. The crack widened with each passing second, revealing a faint glow emanating from somewhere far below. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with a sound that resembled distant music, notes he recognized but couldn't quite place. Marcus knew he should call for backup, but something pulled him forward. He knelt beside the growing fissure, peering into the depths. The glow intensified, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Ancient symbols he had never noticed before seemed to emerge from the marble itself, pulsing with the same rhythm as the underground vibration. His mind raced with impossible questions. In all his years here, he had never seen anything like this. The crack suddenly stopped growing, leaving an opening just wide enough for a person to slip through. Marcus made a choice that would change everything. He lowered himself into the unknown, descending into a mystery that had waited in darkness for over a decade, the hidden room beneath Michael Jackson's grave no one knew about. Part 1. The Discovery. Rain hammered against the windows of Forest Lawn Memorial Park as security guard Marcus Webb made his midnight rounds. For 12 years, he had walked these paths, protecting the final resting places of Hollywood's greatest stars. Tonight felt different. A strange vibration hummed beneath his feet near the mausoleum where Michael Jackson lay entombed. Marcus stopped, pressing his palm against the cold marble floor. The trembling grew stronger, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat rising from deep underground. His radio crackled with static, then died completely. Every light in the corridor flickered and went dark, leaving him in absolute blackness. Marcus fumbled for his flashlight, hands shaking as the beam cut through the darkness. What he saw made his blood run cold. A hairline crack had appeared in the floor, spreading like a spider's web across the polished stone. The crack widened with each passing second, revealing a faint glow emanating from somewhere far below. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with a sound that resembled distant music, notes he recognized but couldn't quite place. Marcus knew he should call for backup, but something pulled him forward. He knelt beside the growing fissure, peering into the depths. The glow intensified, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Ancient symbols he had never noticed before seemed to emerge from the marble itself, pulsing with the same rhythm as the underground vibration. His mind raced with impossible questions. In all his years here, he had never seen anything like this. The crack suddenly stopped growing, leaving an opening just wide enough for a person to slip through. Marcus made a choice that would change everything. He lowered himself into the unknown, descending into a mystery that had waited in darkness for over a decade. Part 2. The Descent. The passage beneath the mausoleum floor dropped 15 feet, before Marcus's boots hit solid ground. His flashlight revealed smooth walls covered in mirrors, thousands of them, each reflecting his stunned face into infinity. The corridors stretched ahead, impossibly long for something built beneath a cemetery. Cool air rushed past him, carrying the scent of leather and old cologne, a fragrance somehow familiar yet out of place in this underground chamber. Marcus moved forward carefully, his footsteps echoing in the confined space. The walls weren't just mirrors, he realized. They were vintage album covers, framed concert posters, and platinum records, all encased behind protective glass. His heart pounded as recognition struck him. Every item bore the same name, the same face. This wasn't a random discovery. Someone had built this shrine deliberately, secretly, right beneath one of the most watched graves in the world. The corridor opened into a circular room that took his breath away. 7 doorways branched off in different directions, each one marked with a symbol representing a different era. A single glove, a fedora, a military jacket, a crystal-studded glove, aviator sunglasses, a red leather jacket, and finally, a simple question mark. In the center of the room stood a pedestal with a locked journal, its leather cover worn but pristine. Marcus reached for it, and motion sensors triggered throughout the chamber. Screens descended from the ceiling, monitors flickered to life, and suddenly he was surrounded by footage he had never seen before. Private recordings, behind-the-scenes moments, and candid conversations played simultaneously on every surface. But something else caught his attention. One of the 7 doors stood slightly ajar, revealing steps leading even deeper underground. Fresh footprints marked the dusty floor. Someone else had been here recently. Marcus wasn't alone in this discovery. Marcus pushed through the marked doorway, descending another staircase that spiraled deeper into the earth. The temperature dropped with each step, and his breath formed small clouds in the cold air. At the bottom, he entered a vast archive that defied all logic. Floor-to-ceiling shelves stretched in every direction, filled with thousands of unmarked tapes, locked boxes, and sealed envelopes. Professional lighting illuminated everything with museum-quality precision. Someone had maintained this space carefully, regularly, for years. A workstation sat in the corner, computer monitors still glowing with recent activity. Marcus approached cautiously, scanning the screens. What he found made his hands tremble. Digital files dated from the past week showed systematic cataloging of materials, backup procedures, and encryption protocols. Someone had been preserving something important, something they desperately wanted protected. The archive contained more than memorabilia. Marcus discovered legal documents, signed contracts with suspicious amendments, financial records showing unexplained transfers, and correspondence between powerful figures in the entertainment industry. Each revelation painted a darker picture. He found medical files that contradicted official reports, witness statements that had never been made public, and evidence of surveillance that suggested constant monitoring during the final years. Hidden among the shelves, Marcus discovered something that made his stomach turn. A collection of voice recordings, threats disguised as business conversations, manipulations masked as friendly advice, and warnings delivered with calculated intimidation. The truth had been buried here, literally underground, waiting for someone brave enough to bring it to light. But why here? Why beneath the grave of the very person these secrets concerned? Marcus heard a sound behind him, footsteps on the spiral stairs. He wasn't alone anymore. Someone was coming, and they were moving fast. He grabbed as many files as he could carry, stuffing them into his jacket. Whatever happened next, the world needed to know what lay hidden in this impossible place. A figure emerged from the shadows, moving with practiced ease through the archive. Marcus raised his flashlight, illuminating a woman in her 50s, dressed in expensive clothing that seemed absurdly formal for this underground sanctuary. She stopped when the light hit her face, showing no surprise at finding him there. Her expression held something worse than anger. It held resignation, as if she had been expecting this moment for years. She introduced herself as Dr. Eleanor Price, archivist and guardian of what she called a protected truth. For 13 years, she had maintained this hidden chamber, following instructions left in a seal that wouldn't be opened until specific conditions were met. Marcus demanded answers, his voice echoing off the mirrored walls. Eleanor moved to the computer station, pulling up files that painted an astonishing picture. The chamber had been commissioned years before the death it now lay beneath, built as insurance against powerful forces that sought to control, manipulate, and ultimately destroy. Everything here represented evidence that couldn't be silenced, proof that had been too dangerous to reveal while certain people remained in positions of power. Eleanor explained that she had been chosen because she had nothing to lose. Her own family had been destroyed by the same entertainment industry machines that crushed anyone who threatened the established order. She had devoted her life to protecting these secrets, waiting for the moment when they could finally emerge safely. But that moment had been accelerated by Marcus's accidental discovery. The trembling he had felt wasn't geological. It was security system triggered by recent break-in attempts. Others had been searching for this archive, people who wanted to destroy everything it contained. Marcus looked at the files in his hands, understanding the weight he now carried. Eleanor made him a choice that would define his future. He could leave, forget everything he had seen, and return to his simple life as a security guard. Or he could help her move the archive to safety before those hunting for it succeeded in burying the truth forever. Outside, beyond the cemetery walls, vehicles were approaching. The decision needed to be made now. Marcus made his choice in seconds. Together, they worked frantically, downloading files to encrypted drives and selecting the most crucial physical evidence. Eleanor revealed the chamber's original purpose, a testament to resilience, a message bottle thrown into the future with a hope that someday the world will be ready to hear what really happened. The documents it gathered told a story of systematic manipulation, financial exploitation, and psychological warfare waged against someone whose only crime were being too successful, too influential, and too independent. They showed how media narratives were carefully constructed, how legal battles were orchestrated, and how public opinion was weaponized by those who profited from maintaining control. As they worked, Eleanor shared the most devastating revelation. The hidden room itself had been designed as proof that someone anticipated their own destruction and had taken measures to ensure the truth would survive. Every item, every recording, every document had been carefully chosen to tell a complete story that corporate interests had spent millions trying to suppress. Footsteps echoed through the corridor above. Their time was running out. Marcus and Eleanor gathered the final drives and moved toward a service tunnel Eleanor revealed behind a false wall. It led to an Exit 3 block from the cemetery, installed during the chamber's construction. They emerged into the pre-dawn darkness, sirens wailing in the distance. Marcus looked back at the mausoleum, understanding now that some graves hold more than bodies. They hold truths too dangerous for their time, waiting in darkness until brave souls bring them into the light. Within 48 hours, encrypted copies of the archive reached journalists, legal advocates, and documentary filmmakers around the world. The hidden room beneath Forest Lawn became the most important archaeological discovery in entertainment history, not for what it celebrated, but for what it exposed. Marcus returned to his security job, but everything had changed. He walked those midnight corridors differently now, knowing that beneath the surface of every story lies another truth, waiting patiently for its moment to rise. The archive's greatest revelation wasn't about the past. It was about courage, the bravery required to preserve truth in the face of overwhelming power, and the faith that eventually someone would care enough to listen. The hidden room no longer exists. Its contents now belong to the world, ensuring that the voice silence can finally speak.